Now, I've compared my spiritual journey over the last few years to many ailments. It's all been very flattering. There's been vomit and bruises, anemia, you name it. Along that same theme, now I'm having painful eliminations. So let's add, bladder infection to the list of comparisons, shall we? I think I'm probably too sexy for my spiritual hypochondria, but it makes me laugh just the same. For someone who is usually quite the optimist, I have been reflecting on how derogatory I've been about my spiritual self-evaluation of late. I think my frame of mind on this day is proof positive that I am emotionally and spiritually better than I have been in many, many years. And why, do you ask? Well, because last week, my position at work, my real job, was eliminated. As of this moment, I have absolutely no real source of income, and I'm okay with that. The weird thing is, I'm actually kind of giddy about it. I got up the morning after I found out that my position was eliminated, and I was unstressed. I made muffins for my kids. I picked up my kids from school every day. Love that. I'll work from home, which I have done for the last 2 weeks almost now. I've worked from home. And in the meantime, I'm just pretty amazed at the foresight I had and the wisdom I feel like God gave me in preparing for that moment in time. I had been preparing myself both emotionally and spiritually to talk to my employers about taking on a lesser role at work as a municipal marketing consultant. I even sent out feelers for opportunities on radio and for trying to book more speaking engagements where I can hawk books and CDs. You can go to AliciaNew.com, by the way, to look at more information on what I do. You spell my first name just like Alicia Keys, so it's Alicia. Last name is New, N-E-W. I now have a website up that has all the books and CDs and everything else you can want to know about Alicia New is on there. So you can go to AliciaNew.com, check me out. But the next day I had that website up and going. And when I talked to my employers as they were eliminating my position, they were more than willing to have me stay on as a municipal marketing consultant with them. What timing, huh? If I hadn't had that idea, I might not have been able to negotiate staying on as a consultant with them at the time that they were eliminating my position altogether. But you know what? What I honestly feel like in my heart is, here we go again. God's being pushy all over again. What is up with that dude? He just never lets up. Wears me out, I tell you. The day after my position was eliminated and the dust had settled from having been laid off, I was actually very peaceful, but I just couldn't get excited about what I thought was happening. As I talked it through with two of my besties, I realized that it was because I was coming to the realization, which is what you do when you realize things. I was coming to the realization that if I'm going to do this thing for real, like as my full-time job on the radio and speaking and singing in front of people, then I have some things in my life that will need to be eliminated ASAP. Sheesh. More painful eliminations as my spiritual bladder infection flares up mercilessly. But the last thing I ever want to be is a female version of Jim Baker or Ted Haggard. Just shoot me now, okay? In the head, preferably. Get it over with quickly. Part of me was going, but I don't want to give up those things yet. I'm not ready. Stop rushing me. But here I am, at the point of no choice except to do it. I still feel my internal powder poking out its lower lip, but I'm getting slightly excited at the possibility that God might actually do this thing. I mean, he pretty much has to step up and do something, right? Right. One of the cool little encouragements I got from one of my BFFs that week was unexpected. Two of my best friends in the world I met in church. However, we all went through so much within and because of the quote-unquote church that many people would have just cursed God and died, believing it was all the complete bunk it had behaved like. And we all have struggled mightily to make sense of it after the fact. Well, I was practicing the piano and singing one day at their house because I have a big speaking engagement coming up in May that I'm preparing for, and her husband walked in. I knew he was hanging around the rest of the time I was practicing, and I know they're big fans when I yodel, aka sing. Well, when I was telling my friend about what I thought I was supposed to do with all this communication stuff, she started telling me a story. When her husband came in that day and heard me singing, he started thinking about all the good times we'd had in church together. He remembered the stupid skits and music and laughter, maybe for the first time since then. He said that whenever he remembered back to those times before, it was just all the pain and hurt that came flooding back. But that day, because I was doing what I feel like I'm called to do, he was reminded that there were good times too. That made me cry. I love those guys so much, and to know that I am a good part of church to them, well, that's priceless.